A change in the government's outsourcing policy to give non-skilled workers a better deal. 4,500 birds at the Qingshawan wholesale poultry market to be culled. And the China-U.S. strategic and economic dialogue opens in Beijing.
Good evening. Financial Secretary John Tsang has told legislators the government amended its outsourcing policy last week. From now on, contractors who pay non-technical workers higher wages will receive higher points during the government's assessment of their bids for outsourced work. Caleb Leung has more.
During today's meeting of the LegCo Panel of Financial Affairs, the financial chief told lawmakers the government had amended its outsourcing policy. He said all government departments will now consider how much the subcontractors are paying their non-technical workers. The higher wage the contractors give to the employees, the higher points they will get during the assessment of their bids, and they will have a higher chance of winning the tender.
The measure today, we hope that the outsource contractors, they can give the non-skilled workers a better deal, and the government should lead the initiative.
However, lawmaker Kwok Wai-keung says the government should be doing more.
You will never be able to really benefit them because there are different layers of contracting. You must directly employ these workers who are non-skilled and do obnoxious jobs.
Currently, government bodies like the Housing Authority and the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department have hired more than 50,000 non-technical outsourced workers. The government used to simply choose the lowest bidder, but some said this may encourage contractors to lower the wage of non-skilled workers. One contractor said the measure would definitely raise bidding prices. However, with the implementation of the minimum wage policy, the effect of the amended policy on wage levels is minimal.
The
CEO of a contracting firm said a higher wage may help hire more ideal workers. She also said how much her company will raise the price in its bid depends on the tender itself. The company will determine what kind of wage level is a competitive one. To ease the concerns of existing contractors, the finance chief said the new outsourcing policy will only apply to future contracts. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
In the latest avian flu scare, about 4,500 birds at the Qingshawan temporary wholesale poultry market will be culled tomorrow. The government made that decision at an interdepartmental meeting today after the H7N9 virus was found in chicken droppings collected from a Tunmoon market.
We have decided that the earliest date that we can resume local poultry trade would be when all the inspection of local farms were completed, as well as all the specimens were confirmed negative.
Ko says government teams are working against time as they hope that live chicken supplies can be resumed in time for Dragon Boat Festival feast on Thursday. The Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department inspected 9 poultry farms and carried out H7N9 tests. All samples tested negative for the virus. The departments will finish examining the remaining 20 farms in the coming 2 days.
The annual China-U.S. strategic and economic dialogue kicked off in Beijing today amid an array of tensions between the two nations. Excess steel production and a diplomatic settlement to territorial disputes in the South China Sea are among the issues dominating day one of the talks. James Aiken reports.
The high-level meetings are intended to act as a pressure release valve to air disputes and clear up misunderstandings between the two powers. At the event's opening ceremony, President Xi Jinping stressed mutual interests between the two nations. He pointed to cooperation on the Paris Agreement on curbing emissions of climate-changing gases as one of the successes of the dialogue. Still, officials admit there is a long list of differences on many issues. Among them, a global glut of steel production. U.S. envoys are pressing China to move faster on its plans to shrink a bloated state-owned steel industry that many nations say is crippling foreign producers and threatening jobs.
Excess capacity has a distorting and damaging effect on global markets, and implementing policies to substantially reduce production in a range of sectors suffering from overcapacity, including steel and aluminum, is critical to the function and stability of international markets.
The talks are also overshadowed by tensions over China's activities in the South China Sea. Washington is concerned that Beijing is militarizing the region. Beijing said over the weekend it will ignore an upcoming international arbitration decision in a claims dispute with the Philippines.
We have taken no position on any of the claims of any claimant. The only position we've taken is, let's not resolve this by unilateral action. Let's resolve this through rule of law, through diplomacy, through negotiation.
North Korea's missile and nuclear provocations are another irritant in the relationship. Kerry said the two countries must stand together against Pyongyang, as they did in clinching last year's nuclear accord with Iran. James Aiken, TVB News.
In the race for U.S. President, Hillary Clinton won yesterday's Democratic primary election in the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico. That win gives her a big boost ahead of a critical voting day on Tuesday, when 6 states hold their nominating contests.
The majority of Puerto Ricans flocked to the polls with one goal in mind.
I voted for Hillary Clinton for one reason. It is time to focus on squashing El Trompo, this mythical figure that has appeared in our national politics.
Fresh off of her win in Puerto Rico, Clinton continued that squash Trump ploy while campaigning in Northern California.
Here's somebody who in the last few weeks has insulted our closest allies, has praised dictators like the dictator in North Korea, has advocated pulling out of NATO, which is our strongest military alliance, that he doesn't really mind if other countries get nuclear weapons, including Saudi Arabia.
And Bernie Sanders did the same in Southern California.
We will not accept a candidate who insults Mexicans and Latinos, who insults Muslims, who it seems every day is insulting women, who insults African Americans.
Sanders and Clinton are in a dead heat in California. Confident she'll win the 2,382 delegates she needs to secure the Democratic nomination, Clinton has already called on Sanders for his help. She's encouraging him to start helping her beat Trump in the November 8th presidential election. On the Sunday talk show round, the Republican presumptive nominee wouldn't back down about accusing the judge in the Trump University lawsuit of being biased.
He's a member of a club or society very strongly pro-Mexican, which is all fine. But I say he's got bias. I want to build a wall.
If it were a Muslim judge, would you also feel like they wouldn't be able to treat you fairly because of that policy of yours?
It's possible, yes. Yeah, that would be possible.
Early results in Peru's presidential election show a former World Bank economist is ahead of the daughter of a former president that's now in prison. With 52% of the votes counted, Pedro Pablo Kuczynski has won 50.5% of the votes. That is compared with his rival, Keiko Fujimori, who's won 49.5% of the votes. Many Peruvians view this election as a referendum about Keiko's father, Alberto Fujimori. The disgraced strongman is now serving a 25-year sentence for graft and human rights abuses. Electoral officials caution that the first votes tallied were from the capital Lima and other urban areas.
Swiss voters have overwhelmingly rejected a proposal that would have guaranteed everyone an unconditional basic income to cover their basic needs. The plan would have seen citizens of the nation of 8 million people receive the equivalent of about $2,500 per month. The Swiss government and employers advised voters to reject the proposal put forward by left-wing campaigners who collected the necessary 100,000 signatures to force a vote on the issue. Switzerland already has an advanced social safety network, but the idea won over some economists who said it could replace traditional welfare payments and give everybody the same chances in life. Despite rejection by about 77% of voters, the basic income backers are celebrating.
Today for us it's a very successful day. We expected 15% approval, and yet it's over 20%, which means the Swiss want the debate to continue, but they not yet want it introduced right away. I think it's also a statement that the Swiss want experiments on a local scale, so to better find out and know more about the effects of basic income, to then have another step maybe 7 or 10 years from now.
A late-night passenger train slammed into the back of a halted freight train in eastern Belgium, leaving 3 people dead and 9 others injured. The collision happened at around 11 p.m. on Sunday. The passenger train was carrying about 40 people, and 2 of its cars derailed after the crash. It took rescue workers up to 3 hours to free all passengers from the wreckage. Some of the injured are in critical condition. Prosecutors have joined an investigation team probing the cause of the crash. The train wreck has halted rail services between Namur and Liège, 2 of Belgium's largest cities. SNCB, Belgium's national railway operator, said it could take several days to clear the tracks.
And when we come back, a shrinking pool of students for self-funded tertiary education institutions. Muhammad Ali's body flown back to his hometown in Kentucky. And an Army Reserve officer crowned Miss USA.